Greetings, beloved souls. I am Navjeet, a seeker hailing from the enchanted land of India. I'm honored to be a twin flame. I'm honored to be a part of the Ashtar Galactic Command. I'm honored to be a part of other councils and boards, including the Karmic Board. And I'm honored to be a member of the 144,000 core group of volunteers who came down in the first batch to assist in this grand planetary transition from 3D to 5D, which is unfolding right now. My journey, sparked by a divine discontent, led me through the realms of meditation, healing, and ancient yogic practices. Along this path, I've been honored to connect with a multitude of enlightened beings from the cosmos. Now, why do I share these channeled messages with you? Because it's not just a privilege, it's a sacred duty. These transmissions, gifted to me by various galactic beings, offer a guiding light towards higher consciousness. They unveil insights into the unfolding tapestry of existence, providing glimpses into probable events, revealing transformative humanitarian projects, and illuminating this inevitable spiritual evolution of humanity. This is not just information, it is an invitation to embark on a collective journey of awakening. Join me as we explore the cosmic wisdom shared by these benevolent beings, understanding the mysteries and our place in this vast multiverse. Today, I am honored to share with us a recording of my channeling session with VOLTRA, an important member of the GFL, which is the Galactic Federation of Light, also known as the Alliance. In the vastness of space, VOLTRA is like a guardian of souls, a wise explorer. As a space psychologist and psychotherapist, he travels among the stars, understanding people's feelings and rhythms of nature. He leads a group of seekers whose job is to study how humans and nature connect through energy and vibrations. Now, dear souls of light, I present to you the channeled essence of VOLTRA.
Greetings. Greetings. I am VOLTRA, cosmic psychotherapist. As above, so below. I invoke that a lot, that as above the highest levels of the universe, through divine will, that which we can manifest through insight, through understanding, psychological analysis, but from an intergalactic perspective. And so I will respect this channel's physical situation to keep my voice a little low as well. We'll see if we can get him through this. But it is from a psychological, physiological, energetic perspective. I help many help themselves, like in the phrase, God and Goddess helps those who help themselves. So we attempt to do all we can to give insight and to give psychological insight often, especially when one is facing challenges and situations. And challenges are an awesome opportunity to grow, to expand, to utilize the life, the journey, the path of life itself, to become greater and more clear about the priorities in your life. I'm very much into helping to inspire, to help you rise to the occasion and fulfill the highest and best at any given moment that you as an individual, individualized God sparks of divine intelligence. It's often been said, and our friend Ashtar and others have said, that divine creation threw away the cookie cutter mold. every time one of us was created as an individualized God sparks of divine intelligence. So we have each of us have unique things to share, to bring to the table, as they say, in the councils especially. And of course, even on a higher level, we engage in very passionate agree to disagree conversations. We just don't, come from petty space where one feels like, well, they lost that. No, everybody wins. It's all win-win, even if there's differing opinions. And sometimes there are things we have to agree to disagree on, but we still love each other. We still respect each other. And I bring that up because in your challenges, my brother, that you will be facing, and what you shared briefly with this channel where we would put focus today, and I would desire to help you help yourself by giving psychological insight about choices and decisions. And I bring up something that's been brought up before, a philosophical question when many have asked, well, how much is destined or fated to occur versus free will? Now that question has been asked by many, but it's kind of a question that it's either this or that kind of thing, when really it's more intended to be, how much is actually destined to occur, fated, versus how much, if I align my free will with divine will, the things that I would love to see more occur, and in this case regarding your mission, humanitarian missions, even though you are based for the time being in that area of the world, and we refer to the eastern part of the world, you're still destined to travel to other spots around the world, and others are destined to travel to where you are. In other words, there's going to be more international interactions. When the world opens up to more advanced technologies, automatically then you expand your ability, expand your perspective. You see things in a greater universal way for the world, but you also acknowledge the sovereignty of every nation, every unique being. We are unique and sovereign. We belong to what originally was the Federation and is now the Alliance of Worlds. So that while we acknowledge the need to be in fellowship and to be, as we would say, empowered within this organization, universal organization, we respect the individual sovereignty of each world. We still work together in fellowship and harmony, and we still have moments of agree to disagree, but there are no losers. Everyone is a winner. Some may feel more like a winner in the sense that what they set out to do, as it would be with you and your projects and ideas that will flow. And intuitively, you'll be very spontaneous more and more, because you'll begin to realize and you've always known this, but it's a matter of now being able to see that there are actually no limits whatsoever, especially as your gifts of the Spirit open up for you, and where you can expand your influence in a very benevolent way all over the world. You may base at times yourself where you are now. You're still destined to travel, but you may think of where you are as kind of a main, as we could say, the main outpost of, while you're on planet Earth, as a main place where you anchor in your energy and do sacred ceremonies and align yourself with divine creation, aligning your free will with divine will. So it's going back to that question earlier, when the question of how much is destined, how much is free will. And we also like to say that, this channel often is referred to, that fate is different than destiny. Often much of humanity has been locked into a fated situation, like the Matrix, Groundhog Day, over and over and over again kind of thing, because then the Cabal, of course, programmed and created more of that to keep humanity locked in and controlled. Well, now humanity is waking up and breaking out of the Matrix, breaking out of these control, the MK Ultra control that the Cabal had upon humanity, or they've limited humanity and enslaved humanity, basically. So now humanity is expanding, and so we've been allowed, through our non-interference laws of the Prime Directive, they have been expanded so that we can now step in a lot more based upon your actions. You give us mandated authority to a degree to step in to help you help yourself. You still, of course, as this channel likes to use the term, the grunt level. The grunt of 3D level, which is merging into the 5D actually, but it's called the grunt level because until the abilities and powers come online, which would be called superhuman powers, you have to struggle a little bit compared. It's like being and feeling as you compare, as you will feeling in the future, you'll think in many ways it was kind of the dark ages of where you were limited because the cabal didn't want you to develop your abilities and powers or have access to advanced technologies that would energy emancipate you. And unfortunately, the cabal tries to create, we say, only this choice or it's that choice. When you look at the choices, and especially those who are the power elite of the World Economic Forum, who talk about electric cars and those kinds of things, but still it's metered. It's not technology as known as Nikola Tesla that would give you unlimited and all that power and not have to meter it. It would unlimited so no one would control it. Only you would be in charge of your destiny. So we're just bringing that as an example, your physiological way at which your way of approaching say challenges, your way of solving your problems, the balance of your right and left brain, the intuitive and the more intellectual, quote, sense of common sense. Of course, common sense isn't very common. So this is what I've noticed, that there is a sense of being your moral compass, your attunement of being able to discern, define, clarify, and using your intuition and also your abilities and capacities and expand more part of your brain, actually more than 85% of the brain or more that has the ability, and that many have called the dead zone, will start to come alive. Blood will begin to, we say, light up the brain. More blood will flow, or the synaptic centers, neurons, many things will start to activate and start, as we would say, connecting more and more with divine source, connecting with us. Greater fellowship will occur, greater options will be shown to you, visionary, transformational, epiphanies will occur for you. So that it will become more natural to be more abundant rather than less struggling. And struggling, it'll become more of a definite thrive versus survive situation. So these next few years, a transition from where you've been operating a certain way into a greater expanded abundance and unlimited possibilities and ideas of having time, and also while the financial system exists, but in a new form that gives you emancipation, frees you up, liberates you and all of humanity. Totally different reality you're about to merge into. And the earth is going through a profound transformation. So I come today in we could say, give a little psychological analysis and psychological, emotional, physiological insight to, as we could say, related to all of the questions that you would have. Could look at it kind of from the psychological point of view, and how your way of life, your way of relating to people and events, as your consciousness expands, the greater options will become available to you. So we're very excited. We're very inspired by what you and others we would like to call the ground crew, the boots on the ground, that you are operating in the best you can. And so that level of what is considered the best you can will expand. Then you'll begin to realize, as the human merges with the Elohim, and utilizing advanced quantum technologies, some would call it benevolent artificial intelligence, but it is a quantum form of consciousness, that the technologies and the procedures and protocols and various things that you will become available and become pretty much common, not as unique and unusual or just some theoretical idea on a drawing board, but an actual everyday way of life for you. Some call the Star Trek Golden Age that Earth is merging more rapidly toward and into. So again, we're very excited and enthusiastic as the DNA RNA that's been there kind of dormant begins to activate. The human race itself on Earth, human, in the census, which is a genetic manifestation of various different intergalactic races that are aligned with the original divine spark and have come together. And there were some negative aspects that were in the process of being removed from the genetic bank, and only the good things being allowed to activate. As certain negative races that came, they are now being cleared out of the heavens, as well as their influence on Earth. So mankind, humankind, womankind, all of the divine masculine, divine feminine aspects of humanity will now not have to deal with what has often, as we say, harassed and limited you and enslaved you and all those things. All that will be no longer a reality. But you will not forget in the sense of the wisdom that you have gained. It's in your genetic DNA, RNA, on levels of consciousness. You will always remember in the sense, not you have to remember all the negative things, but you will remember in the sense of having an awareness of a wisdom that was generated from having gone through lifetimes of struggle with the rest of the human race. Now to be able to use your capacities and expand upon them in such a way that's truly win-win and inspiring. Instead of having to spend time on a mundane level just out of financial need to survive and keep things going, now it will become effortless. Now all of the parts of your brain and consciousness will be aligned with the higher potentiality. Emotionally, psychologically, you're going to feel much more free and liberated and exalted as a sovereign living being, being able to make choices and decisions not only for yourself, but to help others open up to things that they would have thought was some far out fantasy science fiction or just some fantasy escape from reality, quote unquote, idea, so it becomes reality. Looking back in ancient times and remembering lifetimes, you yourself as your cosmic amnesia veils lift. And you start, as we say, tapping into many of those, both experiences on Earth and off planet, having been a part of various intergalactic civilizations that have come to Earth, being a part of the original genetic seeding of Earth humanity, and understanding some of the ancient texts before it was, as we through translation changes or where things were repressed, suppressed, misinterpreted, manipulated, and so on, as has been going on historically for a long time. Having access to ancient records and knowledge, and using virtual reality, holographic technology to relive, we can call them, like this channel used to remember in school, and he would remember putting on what is called the thinking cap, literally a device. You would put it over your head, and it would energetically connect you holographically in full virtual reality and relive those experiences in a sense. And so there are aspects of that technology that will be used in forms of the new and more alternative schools that will become more like academies, like space academies, but yeah, preparing many to go off planet, interface with other civilizations, and again, and as well as accessing stargates, wormholes, vortexes. It's like a very normal, everyday thing that occurs throughout the universe. Now, Earth is going to be also able to experience the same level of potentiality that will expand very rapidly. Now that the cabal is being moved rapidly out of the way, not being able to block humanity any longer, and as this channel had said, yes, once humanity has finally embraced and acknowledged being functional rather than dysfunctional about it. In other words, being able, one doesn't have to be sucked into the emotional vortex of it, but just to acknowledge in a functional way, okay, this is what happened, so we don't need to repeat history again. We've learned from our past, and also many of them have been termed laggards stuck on the wheel of karma, and they're now freed up to now make their ascension as well, which is exciting because the Earth has been so long stuck in an endless wheel of karma. That's coming to an end. So now the acceleration of evolution and progress is going to be at light speed, we can say, ultimately. So this is all very, very exciting. And again, psychologically, emotionally, there's a greater feeling of calmness and connection you feel with nature, divine source, on all levels of reality. And so using advanced technology will very quickly clean up, quote, any aspects of pollution on the planet. And understanding how the cabal had, of course, hijacked and infiltrated the whole environmental movement itself. Was actually, there were many well-meaning souls who were inspired originally to form organizations, but they all got quickly taken over and hijacked and used part of the power elite's way of continuing to control everything and keeping everybody enslaved. So again, it's much a sense of discernment of now acknowledging a little more beyond what is going on behind the scenes, so to speak, because there are many individuals who became part of that system because they were blackmailed and manipulated. Now those vulnerabilities will not be present. You will be connecting with many who were of the term the old school, that were part of that old corrupt system, but who really desire in the core of their being to use their capacities in a benevolent way for humanity, and you will join forces with them. And there's kind of you can see a built-in fail-safe mechanism, we'll call it that, for the use of technologies and protocols that could have in the past time been infiltrated, quote, and taken over. AI was one of the concerns we had, that we are in the process of, shall we say, nullifying, transmuting, but it will be the final elimination about 1,000 years from now, approximately, that we estimate, where that will literally cease to exist. But there's still learning going on by letting it exist, to learn from the vulnerability factors and to cause those vulnerability factors to disappear and be replaced with much more of a secure, aligned system. And I was starting to say to some of my other compatriots, fellow beings of light up here, and in fact, he known as Nikola Tesla, many that we work with, who recognized and he realized, and when he attempted to bring the technology on Earth and it was hijacked by the power elite, now he has learned that there is a need that all technology is created can only be used for the light by light beings. Any being that's of dark nature cannot even use the technology. It's impossible. It won't even function because their consciousness is not aligned, not energy aligned, energy connected with the purpose of that technology. So it's a kind of a built-in mechanism that like a disclaimer, so to speak, that will now allow the forces to ever hijack it ever again. It can only be used for the highest and best purpose. Period, final, complete, end of story, so to speak, in that sense. But sometimes the mouse forces have to learn the hard way. And it's kind of hilarious, in fact, as they watch, they're trying to come up some way to control, and they kept falling back on their own old ways because they don't have the cosmic access code of a pure heart and positive intent to allow them to access that. So this is the one thing that humanity is now being given, so to speak. The consciousness transformation is, it's kind of all of humanity, the 90%, 95%, and it's an approximate number, souls that will make it through this ascension process. They're also manifesting within the core of their being that kind of intergalactic common sense of self-realization, realizing what I'm saying, that it's impossible now for any being of the dark side to use that technology, especially when they're trying to use it to manipulate and control humanity. It's like water for duck's back, is an analogy. It's a saying I use. There's no holding power. There's no possibility. One doesn't have to worry about it. You're just alert and aware, and they're functionally aligned emotionally, psychologically, and on many levels, that where there was a lot of as we say, a lot of dysfunction, a lot of imbalance because of the mind control, behavioral modification, and genetic manipulation that these forces have done on a lot of levels. So the ability now to grow things and rapidly, because you're communicating with the elementals rather than using these harsh chemicals, and which is always trying to fool Mother Nature. It's not wise to fool Mother Nature, as an old saying. Now, humanity aligning with the nature, elfin kingdoms, and being those that have been guardians to the plant and the different types of kingdoms and their purpose, working with and enhancing things. Evolution, nature is always evolving, actually, and that's why, even regarding animals and how many in term that have been many types of species of life that were genetically seeded on Earth, that were not part of the original divine blueprint, that were actually put here to create this a hellish place, whether that be insects who bite and sting and make it hellish, and there have even been plants that were like the fly trap plants, gigantic ones that would eat actual animals and humans because they were so large, or the carnivorous type animals even, and now the lamb will lay down with the lion. There's a religious prophecy, meaning that all animals will become harmonious. There's even things being observed in nature where some animals have actually helped other animals that were originally considered enemies to them. There's a kind of innate, as we say, fellowship or a desire for that. Yet, unlike humanity, where they can't make individual decisions in the way that humanity can, that's why humanity was supposed to be the guardians over the earth and to guide and protect, not to manipulate and control and destroy. So there's a change in all kingdoms, certain physiological changes. And I bring this up because some of the work that you will do from even psychological, but from a energetic sense of technology, and looking on the molecular and cellular level, going down to electrons, protons, and neurons, all these different smaller elements or description of forms of life that exist on lower level and deep and smaller miniature levels, and yet being able to see those forms of life, that you will be presenting to the planet some of your insights and breakthroughs, the physiological, psychological sense of how all of the earth and all kingdoms are being transformed, which is releasing the control of the dark side from that. So they can no longer, so that forms of life, this channel was thinking about it for quite a few years. As I said, anything that cuts, stings, and hurts, whether it be forms of such as examples of we can say spiders that are poisonous, or certain things that cut, and very things that are carnivorous and create pain and suffering, those are going to cease to exist. They will naturally go away because Earth is evolving back into the Garden of Eden paradise again. So nature, if given the chance, with higher help guiding and working and interfacing in a very harmonious win-win way, can work with nature and help evolve, because it's part of the divine blueprint. Our divine creator of the universe made us, quote, in a sense, individualized God sparks of divine intelligence through the cookie color model, as I said, but also put us in a position to be guardians and to inspire and evolve, help other forms of life to evolve without interfering with the free will, but working with, coexisting in peace and harmony. So a lot of what you will kind of regain beyond irony of their being telling you, a innate sense of things that have been there kind of below the surface that you've been trying to tap into, a greater sense, a self-awareness, we'll call it. It's been there, waiting to be retrieved, it's like a treasure. You're looking around, give me the treasure map. I want to find, or an Easter egg hunt, trying to find those little wonderful things that have been hidden, little hors d'oeuvres, little appetizers for the entree, to find these beautiful, the gems and jewels of discovery. Something valued beyond any physical material thing. It was a spiritual value of joy and beauty, heart connection, but to be able to be a part of nature, to be merged with nature in a way and feel the vibrations of nature and the fellowship that humanity is gaining once again with life. And everything is being done in harmony. All technology and everything of Earth will be in total harmony, unlike so often, which is out of harmony. Now everything will be back to the way it was in the original divine blueprint, and then the divine blueprint itself will start evolving and improving and enhancing. And so it's not manipulating, it's working with, and it's respecting, while at the same time challenging a little bit. Different kingdoms working together and challenging one another. And so humanity can learn from nature, nature can learn from humanity, being the guardian, so to speak, again, where there's profound profound respect and understanding that has come out of all the struggle and suffering that has occurred on planet Earth, as well as other worlds too have faced things. So I'm just very, very briefly summarizing the psychological, emotional kind of, shall we say, insight and awareness regarding the changes, and having the hindsight, the wisdom, and in fact, as in the saying, an ounce of foresight is better than a ton of hindsight. To that sense of learning and not having to learn the hard way or learn through the school of hard knocks of pain and suffering. Instead, learning through joy and beauty and upliftment and inspiration. That's a better way to learn. It's an easier, quicker way to learn than the hard way, having to learn the hard way of, again, hindsight. But the hindsight and the foresight and all of those will now be aligned with multiple realities, multi-dimensional realities, parallel realities, some could call it. And sometimes you will discover what initially appears may even be, in fact, what one could call technically a paradox. Well, a paradox is and others have philosophically thought about this too. There was two conflicting truths occupy the same space, as in time travel paradoxes and things coming back and changing, and that creates, when you change one little thing, even the wings of a butterfly, that little subtle change can impact the reality itself. That really, from the smallest to the greatest, there's different ways of looking at it, but you'll be able to glimpse even more of the subtlety of nature, and by interphasing and coming up with intuitive remedies and solutions and protocols that before you wouldn't have been able to see it or notice it. Now your ability to connect with that very deep, subtle, molecular, cellular level of existence itself and be able to interpret it in an outer way, so that applying it with advanced technologies that allow you to interface harmoniously, to learn, to observe, to interface and learn from one another, that will be used, that kind of reused again, because they were used in Atlantean, Lemurian times, and having access to past civilizations. And so, in fact, there are many areas around the world that you can travel interdimensionally, and not only off planet, but to past historical times. And how that changes the time, and how it changes the holographic reality of those existences, changing constantly, like a kaleidoscope that's constantly expanding. So there's, again, touching on a number of aspects here just briefly. And of course, while I have been coming through, we've been downloading a lot of new higher light encodements. And as this channel has mentioned, but I will just mention it too, because of the continued advancement of our technologies, holographic, Elohim consciousness technologies, quantum consciousness technologies, the encodement downloading process has continued to be enhanced and updated, so that through all the sessions that you have, other than when you want to play back sessions to hear it on a conscious level, the encodement processes that were brought through in the two other earlier sessions have now been updated to this session, along with the newer higher light encodements that are being downloaded for the first time. Those earlier higher light encodements are now all compressed in this most updated session. And we will continue to do that every session we do with you. Others who would like to come through in other later times, and as you are so guided to do that, then everything continues to be updated and enhanced. And even that sense of advancement will be enhanced over a period of time as well. Some have reported back to this channel that they often have heard other things pop up in the conscious recording that they did not initially hear. All of a sudden, there's something new that seems to be popping up. And how is that possible? Well, because there's other levels, other layers, shall we say, of in digital energetic information that wants to come up and come into a form where you can auditorily hear it and be expressed. And there's different types of that energetics, whether it be print, whether it be sound, whether it be visual, or combinations therein. And that's some of the things you will pioneer and work with as far as communication, how to help people. And this is part of the evolving of humanity without manipulating, working with those whose hearts are pure, who have a strong desire, but they've been kind of locked into things in the past because of old karmic, like stuck on the wheel of karma. Now, through the cosmic law of grace, this technology will help break them free of old patterning. Now, something that I always invite, such you and others of the ground crew, and you already have done at other levels. Now it's becoming more consciously aware and awareness and available. And I work out of a ship called the Jupiter 1, and I have a device called the Accelerator Chair. And there have been others, in fact, in years past who, well, it was not described exactly. Ashtar often mentioned that about my ship and the Accelerator Chair. Well, he didn't describe it. Then others who would go through the protocol and be invited to come aboard, because it's by invitation only, usually, where you can sit in the Accelerator Chair and the energies invoked, the protocols used allows one to release past trauma, old programmings that limit you, various things, all kinds of things can be done. And so so now I mentioned this to you, that very basically it is before you go to sleep, ask to be taken aboard the Jupiter 1, and so you can be set etherically. While your physical body's sleeping, you're etherically set in the Accelerator Chair, and you can, by causing things etherically, because things always happen first on the etheric level, then it comes down to the physical, you can release, modify, transmute, alter old behavior you want to get rid of or change it to another behavior. And it's, again, always aligned with divine, especially when one invokes not my will, but thine be done, because the more you align yourself with free will, when you use your free will to align with divine will, this goes back to that earlier question that's been philosophically asked, how much is fate or destiny, how much is free will? When you align your free will with divine will, you actually are given more free will because you show the maturity and responsibility of handling free will. So you're actually given more free will. As long as you show and only use it in the highest way, then divine creation opens up more opportunities to you, more possibilities, probabilities, opportunities to enhance your own life and everyone else's. So it's an ultimate win-win in that kind of way. But anyway, so begin going aboard the Jupiter 1 is one of those things that can kind of accelerate some of the learning and growth and potential that your consciousness has. So we're interfacing higher consciousness technology with some of the systems that exist on Earth, but again, enhancing those systems. But this is purely a thing that you, on an etheric level, can set in motion that then filters down into the physical, so that certain behavioral activity, behavioral habits and things can be modified and overcome easily without having to struggle at so much. This is one of the many, as we say, benefits that you can access and utilize at an everyday level, and eventually also introduce others to that same opportunity by word of mouth. Those who have the opportunity can now help others know they have the opportunity to experience that as well. Now, some will remember bits and pieces, others may not remember anything for a while, based upon how consciously aware, how we could say functional and attuned that one actually is, and how many levels do you operate on simultaneously. And so, so there's all kinds of opportunities, doors, portals opening up for you in the coming time. And we are, again, very excited and joyous and to have a chance. I'm always honored to have the chance to connect through this channel and others, and to introduce you on a conscious level to things you already know inside. This is really not new information. We're just helping to remind you, now that you're an Earth embodiment, when you took this final plunge, this final extended tour of duty on this planet, and we often talk about, not that you do things for rewards, Ashtar has talked about this a lot, you do get hazardous duty pay, so to speak. Not in a financial way, but an energetic thing. It builds up, you have like an energetic account that you have created through your consciousness awareness. And the more empowered you become, the more you can manifest in that account, so to speak. Some may use the analogy of a financial account, but it's really a spiritual account of energetic blessings and potential. And it becomes more filled with greater blessings. The more you open up and make things a win-win, the more you align your free will with divine will, and the greater are the blessings that are bestowed upon you and all of humanity. As this channel likes to invoke before I and others have come in, I always like to invoke that through the silver ray, especially while the session is focused on you as an individual. What you experience is that your interaction being physiologically on Earth, your presence is here, you automatically impact and bless everyone else by the blessings that you receive and that you experience. The ultimate win-win. So everybody's constantly having a win-win, awesome, ultimate experience. And it keeps expanding. And I enjoy empowering and expanding humanity's horizons where there is no horizons, really. And this is something this channel became aware of, and many have become aware of, the double speak, things that one known as George Orwell warned everyone about, and what the cabal was using, like the phrase, well, the sky is the limit. Well, the sky is not the limit, never has been. Or words like, this is one of my favorites, oh, that's insane. Well, actually, that word means you are sane. You should use the word as in not being sane. And there's a lot of words in the vocabulary that the cabal kind of created to confuse people. A double speak, meaning that it's like the negative or sorcery that they use through codes and things. And when you say something, like, for example, another good example is saying hi as versus hello. The second word, you notice the two words together, you want it to be high, not hello, as in low vibration. You want it to be high, as uplifting. So that's why hi, how are you? Versus a hello when it answers the phone. So I'm just giving a few examples of double speak things that the cabal created to confuse and disempower humanity. When they thought they were creating something good, they often were sabotaging by the very energies of how that word was created and what the energy behind it. So understanding language, and that is another thing. As you work with people, not only in the area where you presently exist, and also, but yet extending your influence around the world by drawing people together in fellowship, respecting unique differences, that sense of sovereignty, and when as individualized God sparks their own intelligence that they are, but how one can come together in fellowship and share, and everyone learns that life is a two-way street, actually a million types of street. All kinds of things become possible. Miraculous explanations and solving and solutions are going to become flowing a lot. Lots of incredible innovation. And when you look at certain individuals in life, and such as one known as Henry Ford, because his mission for the Cabal was to create, have things break down, to actually perfect, because everything was designed to be made perfect or last for eons, or not forever, as all our technology lasts forever, but to design a way of obsolescence, to perfect obsolescence, to break down. So like one known as Bill Gates were creating a computer that was too perfect, so he had to come up with a virus and then an antivirus, make more profit off of that. Always that was the motive, rather than a pure heart of wanting to help humanity. The profits would come naturally in the economic system, and wouldn't have to focus on that when one is doing what they enjoy doing, especially. Then one thrives on all levels, and abundance is always manifested around them automatically by the purity of their heart and their intent. So you're going to help a lot of souls, though, be able to not only take care of their basic needs, but go way beyond that to thrive in life, where everybody, literally everybody, is benefiting. Everybody's abundant, everybody's thriving, everybody's working together, because anyone who is not aligned with that will not be able to exist. That's why the Cabal is going away. They can't handle this sense of unification, everybody uniting, looking past their so-called differences. They have to agree to disagree a little bit. The main important things, everyone is embracing the importance of clarifying, exposing, healing, transforming, and bringing into the ultimate, as we could say, civilization that has ever existed on planet Earth. Make the entire world great again, as we could say. That is what will come out of some of the intent of the past in regard to the United States, but all countries are nobly have this potential now to unite together and become truly, as well as others of other worlds, looking in on planet Earth and seeing those who came on mission, seeing how much has been accomplished in a very short period of time compared to all the progress ever achieved in the history of the planet. Now things are accelerating and speeding up. Yet from the past experiences, that's again where the hindsight, the wisdom, the potential was self-actualized, became more obvious to everyone. So without being too long-winded here, I want to shift things around and give you a chance for any questions of things I touched on, or any other areas that I might, if I have the authority to do so. Because sometimes we like to give you as much as we can, but because of the sake of this mission, and I also am working closely with many of the Alliance on Earth to help them psychologically handle things that they've had to deal with in exposing the Cabal as much as we can. There are some things that can't be reported or described or talked about for security classification reasons temporarily, but eventually everything will be revealed. There's a time and a place, and some things can be speeded up. So we always attempt to, while we must respect certain protocols, we also try to share as much as we can in the shortest amount of time. 90 minutes is just a little flash, really. So we try to do as much as we can in the short time we're given, and our greatest desire is to see you and again everyone else more sovereign, more empowered, more free, and more to be able to help so many others through this change. So what may I at this point lay on you, so to speak, share with you, because we're learning from you as much as you're learning from us. As we've said many times, we're not so high and mighty that we can't learn from you who are our ground crew, especially you who are our ground crew, you especially after numerous extended tours. Wouldn't you be the ones to actually be able to teach the rest of the universe a few things? That's true. Your wisdom, your hindsight, all of this has been building up for eons of time. And so now you have the accumulation of all that knowledge, all that wisdom, all that potential, and now to help through the learning of the new new types of educational systems. I see the Cabal was trying to sabotage, trying to destroy that potential through many of the things they have recently been doing to try to pervert and corrupt the children. And so we've been stepping in as much as we can to empower the parents and those of the humanity who care about the next generations and what can come. We have a lot of solutions to the dilemma that many have faced because of injections and things that would make the, shall we say, the ability to have children obsolete. Well, we have many remedies that will turn that around very quickly, using certain protocols and technologies and aligned with nature and the universe very quickly. We have all kinds of incredibly awesome, wonderful things waiting in the wings to be shown and delivered to humanity as humanity shows the ability to rise to the occasion and to pull up themselves as much as they can. And again, then we're given authority to step in the next few years as first contact takes place, and we can come down and interface with humanity and be more on one-on-one, up close and personal about interacting in fellowship and learning and again helping each other in this process. So again, what may I at this point give more clarity to? I'm standing by.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you coming through and taking out the time and helping me in my personal journey. What is your opinion regarding the saying that first you help yourself, then you help others?
Well, it is true that you have to have a foundation in which you stand upon with strength and balance and courage and honoring yourself, respecting yourself, that you've created a space, a reality for yourself that allows you to thrive, that allows you to give all you can, taking care of yourself as God helps himself. So yes, you have to love yourself first in the sense of respecting, taking care of yourself as an individualized God spark, the divine intelligence, so that you respect yourself. And so then you can also respect and acknowledge and be able to, yes, acknowledge others who also have come to that, who in the journey of life have come to certain common understandings, unique different, there's always unique difference, but that you have become part of a fellowship because everybody's respecting themselves and respecting the space of everyone else as well. How can you help others if you can't help yourself? So it's kind of an intergalactic common sense to make sure that if we could say, the foundation upon which you stand, which you exist, is strong, that when a wind of change comes along, it doesn't blow it away. So you respect yourself, you understand yourself, and of course you understand yourself even more now, greater potential as things are revealed, how you can inspire others. And so it's almost like because you have created a momentum of consciousness within you, it will start to rub off on others. In other words, your energy will expand all the way around the world. The unconditional love that, yes, I felt very strongly, your love, your care, your compassion on many levels, and you will be able to you'll feel like you're able to express it even more because of all the other stuff psychologically being removed, transmuted, released, so that more of the love can fill that space, so to speak, more of a pure sense of unconditional love. And sometimes there's necessary to use tough love as an old concept, loving somebody, but also demanding or saying, expecting, okay, I'm loving you, but I also, because life is a two-way street, I'm asking that, well, it's unconditional love. In order for there to be order in society, it's common sense that there has to be some kind of agreements about so-called laws or things that everyone will benefit from for order in society, as versus there being chaos. So one can be, well, it's important to be very loving, but also being able to be clear communicating with others as far as what you feel are important, what are your, quote, requirements, or your desires, goals, aspirations, loving, but at the same time knowing that tough love sometimes for some of the younger generation, to say in order to gain through discipline and respect for themselves, challenging them sometimes to be a better person. Challenging because you love them and you care about them and you're an inspiration for them and they're inspired, so shall we say, and it's being able to be reflective versus reactive about things. That sometimes out of survival, many create kind of a habit. It's not their true nature, but they become reactive because they've been beaten down and so much by the cabal, so we say, But eventually as cabal is removed and they feel it's a more safe space, they can then start to relax. They don't have to have their guard up all the time, but what they do is they have a discernment. It's like a filtering, a crap deflector, we would call it, where they discern, they sense, they have an intuitive sense where their alarm goes off, energetically speaking. It's like a crap deflector because it deflects anything that is being sent in their direction. They don't have to worry about it. They're just alert and aware. They have developed through wisdom, through hindsight again, certain things, protocols that they know naturally, they know innately. By doing that, they have balance and order and clarity, and they communicate with themselves very clearly. So they know exactly. And they also know that even if they make some mistakes, which was where they learn from, as long as the intent is motive, we have never, ever, nor does divine creation ever judge anybody harshly for mistakes, quote, the things that one has done, because you learn from it. And when one is aligned with divine creation, one will never accidentally do something really fatal to others or to the human race. The negative things occur, and when there's negative intent behind something, that's when, as we say, injury and destruction and things occur. Now, sometimes there could be injury only because that's the only way to teach a soul who's kind of out of control, kind of puts a little bit of boundaries there temporarily, a little collective common sense that, oh, you're a little out of control, you're creating chaos. So out of love, so you don't hurt anyone else, and so you don't hurt yourself either, we have to kind of put a few barriers energetically to kind of hold you in a little bit until you learn with more maturity how to handle that. And then the boundaries are removed or expanded considerably by the experience, which shows they can be responsible, then everything else is available to them. And so what the human race is demonstrating now, that they have awakened, they're becoming more mature, they're learning with wisdom, not to ever, so they now know what they don't want to repeat again. Never will they allow the cabal to control them ever again. And this is a major lesson of taking responsibility, being loving, being able to forgive, but still not forgetting, so to speak, as far as the wisdom that they've gained. And there are some crimes against humanity, because the only way that some souls on a soul level will learn that they have to have, shall we say, be harshly punished, and make it really clear imprint upon the soul. This is not what you do. You don't abuse your free will, or you cause pain and suffering and destruction and evil. Evil is live spelled backward. Anti-life behavior is considered evil because it creates chaos, pain, and suffering. Now, some souls may have chose to be born into that situation while it lasts, for the little time that it lasts. Now it's about to go away, and that's why many souls were lined up. Because this was an abnormality. It was rare, even though in the universe there were forces, the dark side, who rebelled and created chaos and suffering. And so, that's why the Federation was formed originally. We had to be guardians. We had to stand strong, not let these forces control forever. So eventually, the light gained more and more of the upper hand throughout all the universe. And now, as we said, the heavens are being cleared, some of the last parts of that, but especially on Earth, there are still some draconian reptilian elements throughout the universe that we must still be cautious with. Galactic common sense, but we always come with love. This is a whole aspect. Another interesting topic is regarding those who have weapons and guns and things, and we said humanity has a right to defend itself. It's not the weapons, it's the ones who use those weapons, whether it be vehicles, cars, or anything, to blame something on the weapon itself rather than the person using it. Are they responsible? Are they, as a mature, higher advanced being, because one puts away their weapons when they feel they're safe. You can never legislate that kind of thing. It's an emotional issue, so no one ever is able to make their proper choice of saying a country, a civilization must have the right to defend itself, or it feels victim is what it feels like. But when one has the right to defend themselves, and as they evolve, then they put away their weapons because they don't need to use them. The Merkabah light ships have, quote, weapons, but we don't usually have to use them because it's the love that we're generating that diffuses those kinds of activities. But in some cases, there are extreme situations, unique situations, where we have to take some action because that's the only thing those beings seem to understand or respond to. We always want to come from a loving and a position of fellowship, but sometimes tough love may take different forms depending depending on what the unique set of circumstances is. Usually there's a higher explanation, a higher solution, where we don't have to resort to that. But sometimes, as in some of the what we call the galactic wars that have taken place, beings took advantage of one's good nature. So that's where wisdom, along with the loving heart, where one knows when to take action, when to hold back, as in certain forms of martial arts, where it is that when one is truly a master, they create a reality where they don't end up in a dangerous place where they have to defend themselves. They create a reality that actually takes away that kind of situation. And so that is more of an exercise for keeping balance in the physical body. So we're just saying that reality is created by not only the intent, but it's also the pure heart and the love, but also the wisdom that creates balance. So, but tough love is something that sometimes is necessary temporarily, and then souls whose hearts are pure, even if they've developed some bad habits of survival or street smarts, as some would call it, eventually they learn they don't have to have their guard up because they don't have to care about peer group pressure. That's something that dark forces have often used to get souls to corrupt themselves and to sell out, so to speak, and they lose their self-worth. So you may encounter certain souls who, because of that kind of orientation in some areas of society, and the peer group pressure has been applied, and things are done that way to control and blackmail, but all these souls want to be free of that. And that's what's happening now, is that we're creating ways to free up souls from those locked in karmic, endless wheel of karma, things being recreated over and over again. Now we have broken through those patterns through some of the higher technologies that I and other beings are using. So humanity can now regain their sense of self-worth, their sense of purpose, the uniqueness that divine creation, and we love you all. There's plenty of love to go around, plenty of opportunities available for humanity. We don't have to, it doesn't have to be the hard way. That'll be the easy and more fun way to learn and grow, because that's what humanity really wants to learn. Just that the cabal had hijacked the normal, quote, orientation of humanity was normally very loving. They tried to convince humanity that there was always going to be war and pain and suffering, rather than the truth is humanity is evolving into a state where that kind of activity will not even be possible, because now with higher help and guidance and influence and humanity's level of evolution that you've all reached on planet Earth, you are now showing the potential to come more and more into a total state of love and state of oneness. But there is still caution in the beginning to make sure that all elements, not one soul will escape that judgment of, and again, we can forgive. We just can't let souls continue if their state of being is still inclined to that. We have to use a little galactic common sense, and while still loving and forgiving and guiding, shepherding, so we could say, to influence humanity, to give humanity an incentive. That the more you rise to the occasion in a positive way, the greater are your blessings and manifestation on high and on every level. And so you learn quickly, and as a result, you create the reality that is self-empowering as well as empowering everyone else. Everybody, mutually, it's a win-win reality, and that's what everyone's moving into quickly on Earth. But you still have to be a little patient, while at the same time push the envelope sometimes to kind of test the waters and to see if in fact those elements have been removed, or are they still slightly operating in the few little shadows that are left. But as the light gains the upper hand, there are no shadows. It all disappeared. It's all an illusion. It goes away. And so then you see the water is perfect lukewarm temperature. This is wonderful. I can get in there and totally immerse myself. There aren't any elements anymore I have to be concerned about, because everything's evolving rapidly. Everybody's working with one another and coming together in fellowship and unification. Again, that is what's building up. That's what's forcing the cabal to leave the reality and never exist ever again, because Earth has, in its acceleration of ascension, is reaching that state of perpetual. It's like perpetual motion. It keeps on recharging itself with love and light and beauty and grace. And that's what we're rapidly move all of us as we observe Earth and seeing the profound changes, the uniqueness. As never has a planet so quickly and gone through this change as rapidly, and so many unique things that are happening. So we can say ingenuity, uniqueness, some of those qualities that you're going to utilize in your creative projects and help others discover their uniqueness and ingenuity. What makes them unique what makes them kind of stand out, but yet still be part of the fellowship, helping one another, helping each person find their uniqueness and their purpose in life, and giving them something bigger than themselves to that will enhance and inspire them as they're inspired by others, and they inspire them. Again, it's a very inspiring thing to see this at this time. And that's where you're connected with Arcturis, which is the intergalactic way station import-export in a system of innovation. And my friend Rokan, Lord Rokan, is a intergalactic. He's quite a. He enjoys partying too. You can see an image of him on this channel's website. He's kind of looking, we could say, somewhat in a kind of African American kind of image, with his hair is kind of. He likes to call himself a wild man in a humorous way, where his ideas are all over the universe. His mind goes in a lot of places, and in a very short period of time that would have taken many, many ages to do, all of humanity is going through a vast upgrade. By those souls that are on Earth right now knew by being here, this was a chance of, well, as in the phrase, a chance of a lifetime. No pun intended. A chance of it's like the gigantic. You could say there's a smaller 26,000 year approximate cycle. There's also the semi-rare solar interplanetary cycle, in which all the planets kind of line up at the end of the cycle. There's a very rare galactic cycle, in which the galactic systems kind of align. And finally, we have a cycle that has never happened in the universe before, lining up with the other three cycles. This is an analogy to changes, internal and external, that the whole universe is going through, and how that changes personality, so-called. Even on an intergalactic level, personality is getting an upgrade for being able to interface and understand things. Of course, everything is translated telepathically in that greater understanding. So we, again, felt this was a profound opportunity to come forth, and what could we learn from the process as well. As I said, none of us are so high and mighty that we can't learn from, especially those of you who are the ground crew. Some of the greatest truths that will be revealed and kind of come to realization, self-realization about over these next few years and the next 10 or 20 years, in fact, as Earth becomes truly a part of the intergalactic realm, worlds of light, the Galactic Alliance. Officially, it's kind of it's just becoming a junior league member right now by the Space Force and those of the Earth Alliance, the White Hats who are working with us as we help them get the cabal forces out of the way to not block humanity's progress anymore. We've been waiting a long time in the wings to have this opportunity. And so it's a profound, wonderful blessing to us to have this chance to connect and communicate in this way. Again, as preparing for physical contact as we get closer to that wonderful historical moment. Well, as in the phrase, you don't know why you know, but you know. Well, you do know. And using the phrase sometimes, well, I don't know why. Well, yes, you do know. Now, but when someone says you don't know why you know, but you know, it means that on a conscious level, we may not be able to intellectually put it exactly into words. You have a deep, sacred, innate sense of these truths that are being revealed to you. In other words, they were already there. You're just now being reminded about what you've always known inside, just like knowing that in its term you are a star seed, that your soul is immortal, of course, but you are from other realms, and that now, and you've come to Earth a number of times on missions, but that other worlds were more of your home. Originally, other galactic systems even say, as certain, some have referred recently in some intel that has come out of some 8th dimensional and above beings who came in recently to intercede with some of the planetary transition that Earth is going through, because it was particularly challenging, and even regarding information regarding what is being planned on, we could say, by the divine creator, and the Earth, they're termed Earth Alliance, and those termed the Cabal, each of them working in a different capacity. Cabal thinks it can somehow outsmart divine creation. Of course it can. It has to always learn the hard way. That this, quote, scare event, which seems to be one last little psychotherapy shock kind of value to kind of get humanity's attention one final time, where they don't have to keep repeating over and over and over again until they finally get it. They finally get their lesson that they need to learn about self-responsibility, by being able to be in fellowship and still sovereign, and to cut to the chase about how much distractions and emotional toxic drama that humanity has engaged in, specifically the cabal using that as a distraction, trying to keep humanity from coming to the self-realization that all souls eventually reach who are pure of heart. For you and everyone else on planet Earth, the lessons that have been learned you can never learn anywhere else, the spiritual boot camp. Again, we said you get a lot of hazardous duty pay, not because you do things for rewards, but isn't it nice to be rewarded, to be acknowledged by our divine creator, and us acknowledging you of the importance that you and all other members of the ground crew, and you being part of also the original core group of the 144,000, made a vow you'd keep coming back till it was done, the liberation, and now this is your last time you will fulfilling that final vow, and that to feel what you accomplished, the spiritual value beyond anything physical. So I'm talking about the rewards from spiritual guardianship, authority, wisdom, and self-purpose that you have really received great fulfillment in the challenges you have faced, and so, as is the phrase, putting your money where your mouth is an old phrase. We're talking about in a spiritual kind of way. You've demonstrated, you've proven above and beyond in difficult situations that you came from integrity. In fact, there have been lifetimes when you chose to die rather than to betray other people. Then you became aware that it didn't have to be this or that. Instead, you could still keep your integrity while working it out so the other person didn't have to succumb either. To find an innovative way energetically that everyone of pure heart would benefit. Well, those of the dark side, because they chose to misuse their free will, they being part of that, they have a chance to be, as we could say, salvaged in the sense of being redeemable souls, once again, if they would, through free will, choose to embrace at any given moment, your divine creation can forgive them. Of course, when souls are involved in horrific acts of crimes against humanity, that's a very difficult thing to overcome because it was intentional and they got off on doing it. And it's a level of evil that would never exist in the universe before, but it became a reality. Now, how do we deal with it? How do we deal with it to a degree? What responsibility part can we play in mitigating it, transmuting it, altering it, and bringing it back to the light, healing it, redeeming it once again, perhaps recycled through the Godhead, so it's an entirely new being, a new individualized God spark of divine intelligence, starting all over again. Sometimes it's necessary. Other times it has a revelation, despite its crimes against humanity, and has this sudden realization that it needs to do certain things to balance it out. Every soul is unique. Every unique being is learning in different ways, but now there's a lot of souls joining together and coming together, and happen to be that their evolution is around the same kind of, shall we say, the evolution has reached a certain point that they can join together because they all have a similar understanding, and they can use and unite when two or more are gathered together, as in that phrase. When two or more are gathered, they have double and eventually millions of times the amount of strength because you're all helping one another. And so it becomes a much faster process. This whole world awakens now and begin to share with you. Many have a similar reaction of crying because that's a way of physiologically expressing through the so-called density of the body, to have it come out, to bring it up rather than holding it inside. It comes up by its own accord. It's like a burst of self-realization and acknowledgement to that, which is kind of self-explanatory. It becomes, quote, obvious. When you have to be crazy not to understand it. It's that kind of thing. I don't know why nobody knows, because it's a sacred statement, understatement, almost like that. This is how it is. It's just obvious. Anyone who's of that state of consciousness, it's obvious. And then others who don't understand, well, sometimes as in saying that the bull in the china closet, where that points a picture of something big and rough and violent, and there's these very fragile types of things. You can imagine what the destruction can be. And then there comes a point where that saying has a different meaning. The bull could be in the china closet, but it doesn't move in such a way to destroy the china, because it respects this fragileness of nature itself around it. So while it may be big and bulky, it's able to move very slowly and get itself out of the closet without anything being destroyed at all. A different reality is created. So now everything is in harmony to nature and to creation itself. different reality. It was always there, but now, and then out the outset of that will become other wonderful revelations and epiphanies and things. People who have been holding inside and afraid to express, suddenly they'll start feeling more free and liberated to also cry and express the emotions, and you feel a familiarity connection with them. And then they no longer feel self-conscious and ashamed or embarrassed or any of those kinds of reactions. Instead, they feel good that they can. And now they're around others who also express. Now you're feeling safe, and you don't have to be worried about anybody thinking that it's strange, who don't understand that. Everyone's kind of on the same page by understanding and interpreting the emotional need to express and feeling how healthy and normal and really normal, natural it can be in the right situation. And now the whole world begins to come into that vibration. So everyone expressing the divine, sacred feeling, and more of the joyousness of the celebration of the earth being liberated, moving into this wonderful golden age of beauty and joy. And so we're again very excited and happy that today what has been downloaded energetically and the information we believe has helped you help yourself, contributed to your greater well-being and humanity's greater well-being, and that inspires us and makes us feel great appreciation for the opportunity of what time we've shared. There's so much to be revealed in the coming time. Linear time, which will eventually, linear time will not even be a major issue. It will be timeless. You'll have all the time in the universe, as we like to say. The universe, the world, and the whole existence. And is there one more last thing that I could share or answer? We're standing by.
Bit of a concern regarding my protection, regarding my personal protection, my physical angelic level protection, and the same question I have for my family.
Well, we would just say the quality known as faith, the faith that you come on a mission, that you wouldn't have gotten this far to be, quote, taken out or seriously injured to a point that would keep you from fulfilling your mission. Now, it's not to say you won't bump your some part of your body on something and have a little minor cut or something in that kind of way. We're talking about, what you're talking about is something that would be a threat to you, of stopping you or bodily harming you, and those kinds of things. We understand concern, but the difference is, when I used the phrase earlier, alert and aware versus worry, or we use this way, alert and aware versus worry or stress, and having the quality of faith that when you're aligned with your highest good, and the fact that you are aligned with forces off planet. And if I say to you that you could have died a few times already on Earth, but you were protected, unbeknownst to you in certain situations, that's true of most of our ground crew. All of our ground crew should have died many times over depending each lifetime. So in some sense, there is that sense of destiny, and then there's that sense of free will. But as we said earlier, when you align your free will with divine will, you have an even more sense of free will. And you're given more protection in regard to the use of that free will. That kind of comes with the territory. So we would say to you, and even we know there are many, in fact, when they look back in their life and say, oh my God, it's amazing I'm still alive because I was reckless and I did all kinds of things, and somebody was watching over them. Because they knew that they had to had to be a little reckless. That was their nature, to learn the lessons they needed to learn. And then it's like the person, as this channel once heard a story many years ago, where it was a person who was so afraid of something happening to them, they stayed in bed all the time. And there was something about how the cotton on the bed shriveled up, and they actually succumbed. They cottoned because it got wet or something, and they actually died in the bed because they shriveled up and they couldn't breathe. There was some story about that. In other words, showing some extreme example. But almost to the degree, when you're destined to do something, when it comes down to push and shove, and you're doing the best you can, and you're praying and you're meditating and you're decreeing the light using your spiritual power, and you're acknowledging your authority, that you have a destiny, you're aligning your free will with divine will, and you're calling on divine intervention to help you at all the times, as in God helps us help himself. When you cover all bases in that way, then we are mandated to step in and protect you on your mission of anything that would interfere with you. Oh yes, there are still some, there will be for a little while, these residues, quote, he said, of the cabal itself. But the cabal itself is in panic mode right now, because they are realizing they've lost the, quote, the fight. And yeah, there are certain foot shoulders and little elements that will for a little while, but increasingly every day that passes, every week, every month, and every year, especially as more light comes on the planet, those forces become less and less a threat. But yet it's also true right at this point in the precipice, some of these forces are like cornered wild animals. As in the analogy, when you corner an animal, it will fight back, and that's when it's most dangerous of all, right before it is, before it's finally done away with, so to speak. And we're right at that point right now. So I would say by the time you begin to travel or wherever you go, I would say in the coming next few years, those concerns will not be very much as it would be at this moment. Things are increasingly going to change because the energy is increasingly going to shift. To the degree as it shifts, and the more you come into your power through these transformations, the more you embrace your power with faith and purpose, and always calling upon the highest forces of the universe, and we're there to help you help yourself. Everything you do to take care of what you can, and you for self of taking care of yourself, so you can help others. The greater will be the greater ability for you to expand yourself, and that in itself will, by the very actions you take, and the consciousness you're creating, and us there to back and support you, will make it increasingly difficult for any forces to really interfere in any kind of way that would be detrimental to you. They may, now I'm not saying that they might not threaten a few times to do something. Threats are one, they can say all they want. But when you stand in your power and your courage and your strength with an attitude, it's not being overly confident. It's just being confident and assured that you wouldn't have gotten to this point right now, and you won't know everything else you're going to accomplish if you didn't have a purpose that was going to be fulfilled this final lifetime. When I say final, you may come back in the future, but I'm talking about the vow you took millions of years ago, which is now being fulfilled. And that's why you were given the chance to come back this final time. So let that, as in the saying, take it to the bank, that this, what we have just pointed out to you, in itself is a confirmation of your, it's like, as Ashtar has often said, one doesn't go and jump out of a window and go, save me, to test that sense of whether they're going to be protected. They probably won't be protected in that situation. But when they've done the best they can, and they're hanging from the ledge of a building, and they didn't want to get there, but they did the best, you can pretty well count, with the investment that was put into you coming on these missions, the higher forces would step in and protect that individual so they could get off the ledge, so to speak. So I'm just using some extreme examples of what, as he said, again, one doesn't go and jump out the window to test that sense of faith. You're probably going to squid on the floor and die. But if you've done the best you can and you find yourself in a dangerous situation, you can have the faith to know that you have backup there. To the degree whatever lessons you're needing to learn, because we can't interfere with those lessons, but we can make sure that you're protected in the best possible way while still giving you the chance to learn what you need to learn. And you may have little tiny injuries or something, but that will just be temporary, and then you heal from it rapidly. And we don't see that very often either. We're just saying it all depends on the circumstances and what lessons, how extreme does one need to go, what extreme things does one need to go through to learn the lessons. When you have a pure heart, there's less need to be through the school of hard knocks any longer. You bypass the need to learn with a long drawn out hindsight. You already have all that from previous lifetimes and off planet. So this is just finishing up a few things. So yes, there may be some who may threaten you and everything else temporarily. But those who threaten, usually it's because they're in panic mode and they're trying to intimidate because they've lost it. It's like we call it the greased pig effect, slipping out of their hands. They can't hold on to it anymore. So they're jealous and envious of someone else who has the integrity to have that sense of power, using it in the right proper way. You have support and backup from other forces all the time. And so it's more and more as we go forward, when you have a chance to begin to physically interact more directly with higher forces, then it becomes even more obvious of your protection and your connection from beings off planet. Depending on the circumstances, will be how severe or extreme situations might be, would also warrant how much the divine intervention would be put there to compensate for whatever degree of the danger is the degree of the protection that's afforded to each volunteer starseed, Earth embodiment. So for you and your family, know that to be true. Now, whether each of the family members that you're connected with are themselves choosing to embrace that, or what they choose to do can be aligned with you, or can be an individual thing. that over a period of time can be revealed. But again, the Earth is going to be increasingly more and more safe as less and less cabal can exist, and they're more rapidly removed from reality itself. And I would say put focus on not to ignore the so-called dangers, just use your common sense and have the faith that if you're called to go to some place that looks dangerous, just have that faith that you wouldn't have been allowed to go there, because unless it was pretty certain that you were going to not only survive, but thrive under that certain set of circumstances. And it's your actions and your intent and your free will aligned with divine will that really decides the outcome of anything anyway. And your destiny and purpose and mission that's being completed in this final lifetime is very profound to realize that, that you wouldn't have been allowed to go on this mission if you didn't have the qualifications and also the backup when you needed it. At the same time, you wanted to be able to demonstrate and prove that you were kind of on your own, self-sufficient, without depending directly on someone holding your hand, so to speak, that you could do it yourself, that we were confident enough in you that you could come down to Earth on one final time while still having the knowledge that the backup is there if you need it, because you wanted to be able to prove, I can do this, I got this, that kind of thing, but still having the faith that if it's necessary and you're in any kind of danger, when you pray and you ask and you decree, you will be given that as you need it. To the degree without taking away your free will, but giving the backup that supports you and works with you in that kind of power of responsibility and who you are, and your family and those you care about. You have a lot of authority and influence in that area based on as you operate out of integrity. That's what makes the protection strong. When people get out of integrity, that's when it can get a little weak. So it's just galactic common sense to do the things you know what to do. And when you've fulfilled your responsibilities the best you can, then again, it's not the mistakes one is judged for, it's the intent behind everything. And that's what determines that quality of protection and how quick and all the other factors and dynamics involved, psychological, emotional, every other thing. So I want to bless you. I want to say it's a great honor to connect with you and all the ground crew members I've had the honor of connecting with. And you will go and ask to be taken aboard the Jupiter 1. That will help you in many ways get more in touch with your faith, your self-empowerment, being able to take the action when you need it with confidence, even when certain people are trying to threaten you. It doesn't matter. They can say all they want. They really the reason they often act that way is because it's the power slipping out of their hands, and you, of course, are representing a threat to them. But so what? Their day has come. They have to face for their actions. Not one soul will escape judgment in that way. And all souls who are pure of heart will be rewarded. As the first shall be last, and the last shall be first, and that's how it's going to be. So I bless you. I am VOLTRA, Cosmic Psychotherapist, and again, as above, so below, and so it is. Blessings, and so it is.